Okay, so today we'll be doing ordering fractions, decimals, and percentages. Okay, so it says place the following fractions, decimals, and percentages in ascending order. So that means from smallest to biggest. Now, in order to do that, we have to make them all look the same. We can't compare them if they don't all look the same. I have no idea if 0 and 3/10 is bigger than 1/5. Okay, but I can decide that if I make all of my numbers look the same. So the easiest way to make them look the same is turn them all into decimals, okay? So what I'm going to do is take each number, turn it into a decimal, if it's not already a decimal, then I will put them in order, okay? So my first step is 0.3. Well, that's already a decimal, so I'm going to leave that as it is, okay? 1/5. Well, you should already have learned how to make a fraction a decimal. That's something you did earlier this year. So that's 1 divided by 5, okay? In your calculator, you can put 1 divided by 5, okay? And when you do that, you would get 0.2, okay? So I'm just going to write it above. In fact, I think I'm going to write it in a different color, okay? Now 1/2, I know what 1/2 as a decimal is. That is 0.5. 0.706 is already a decimal. 7 divided by 8, that is 0.875. And then something new we talked about today was changing a percent into a decimal. So how we do that is moving the decimal 2 places to the left, okay? So my decimal would now be 0.571. Okay, I moved it 2 places to the left, and you drop the percent sign when you do that. Okay, so now I have all of my numbers as decimals. I can put them in ascending order. Now, when you do this, you want to write the original numbers. So these numbers right here. Okay, even though we found these decimal equivalents up here, we don't want to use those when we write what our numbers are in ascending order. Okay, so I would put 0.2, looks like that's the smallest, but we want to write that as our fraction. So it gave us 1/5, so I want to keep it as 1/5. Okay, next biggest would be our 0.3. They gave it to us as 0.3, so I'm going to leave it as 0.3. Okay, next would be our 0.5, which is our 1/2. Okay, remember, because we're giving it to them exactly how they gave it to us. Okay, next, so I did that one, and that one so far. So 57.1% is next. That is 0.571 as a decimal, but we write our answer as what they gave us. Okay, and they gave us that 57.1. Okay, so then I would say 0.706 is the next biggest, and then 0.875, which is 7/8 in our original, okay? So these are how we would list our numbers in ascending order. Hopefully you can see how we would not have been able to just put them in order by looking at them as they were. I can't compare decimals, fractions, and percents all together at once, but we have the capabilities of turning them all into something that looks the same. The easiest way to do that is turn them into a decimal, okay? All right, so I'm going to do one more with you, then the rest you shall do on your own in a Google Slides, okay? So let's do number 2, okay? This time I'm going to write my numbers underneath, since use the room up there. Okay, 0.9 is already a decimal. 38.5, I'm going to move my decimal 2 places to the left. So that is 0.385. 1/4 is 0.25, if I put that in my calculator. 2/3 is 0.6 repeating, if I put that in my calculator. 3/5 is 0.6, and 0.824 is already a decimal. Okay, so now I'm going to go back, put them in ascending order based on these numbers, okay? I'm not going to write the decimals that I found. Okay, so the smallest thing we have is going to be our 1/4. Okay. The next biggest would be our 0.385, which is 38.5%. Okay, the next biggest thing is our 0.6, which is our 3/5. Then would be our 2/3. Then my 0.824. Then my 0.9. Okay, as you can see, these are now in order from smallest to biggest. We would not have been able to compare them without turning them into these decimals here first, okay? But our answers are written as what they gave us originally, which is these numbers here. Okay, you do 3, 4, 5, and 6 on your own on Google Slides.